slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love.
This happened a few months back, and honestly, I still get chills thinking about it. My name's Alex, and I'm a pretty ordinary guy, working a dead-end job, trying to figure out what's next. My buddy Mark, he's the adventurous one, always dragging me into some new scheme. This time, it was an old, supposedly haunted ghost town out in the middle of nowhere, deep in the Arizona desert. Mark had heard about it from some obscure online forum, a place called Whisperwind Gulch. The stories were vague, mostly whispers of strange disappearances and unsettling sounds. Perfect, according to Mark. He was convinced there was something genuinely creepy about the place, not just the usual abandoned town folklore. I was skeptical, as always, but he's got a way of talking me into things. So one scorching Saturday morning, we packed up Mark's beat-up pickup truck with water, snacks, and a couple of flashlights and headed out. The drive was brutal. Hours of endless, shimmering asphalt, then a turn onto a dirt road that seemed to stretch into infinity. The landscape was relentless saguaros standing like silent sentinels, jagged mountains in the distance, and a sky that felt too big, too empty. We hadn't seen another car for what felt like an eternity when Mark finally pointed to a faint, almost invisible track veering off to the right. "That's it," he said, a strange glint in his eye. The track was barely more than 2 ruts in the sand, overgrown with scrub brush. It was clear no one had been down this way in a long, long time. As we bumped along, the air grew heavy, not just with heat, but with a palpable stillness. The kind of quiet that makes your ears ring. We finally saw it, or what was left of it. A cluster of dilapidated wooden structures, bleached by the sun and wind, clinging to the side of a low hill. Whisperwind Gulch. It looked less like a town, and more like a collection of forgotten bones. No signs, no welcoming committee, just the skeletal remains of what was once a hopeful settlement. A shiver ran down my spine, despite the oppressive heat. This wasn't just abandoned, it felt wrong. We parked the truck a little ways off, the dust settling around us like a fine red powder. The silence was unnerving. Even the desert seemed to hold its breath. We grabbed our gear and started walking toward the closest building, a small, leaning shack that looked like it could collapse at any moment. The wood was splintered and gray, the windows long gone, leaving gaping, empty eyesores. Inside, it was just as desolate. A thin layer of dust covered everything, and the air was thick with the smell of decay and something else, something metallic and faintly sweet, like old blood. Mark, ever the enthusiast, was already pulling out his phone, snapping pictures. I, on the other hand, felt a growing unease. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of dry leaves outside, made me jump. We moved from building to building, each one a testament to a forgotten past. An old general store with rusted shelves, a saloon with a broken-down bar, a few residential shacks. They were all empty, stripped bare of anything valuable, leaving only the ghosts of their former lives. The sun was starting to dip, casting long, distorted shadows that danced and writhed, making the already eerie landscape even more unsettling. As dusk began to settle, a faint, almost imperceptible sound reached us. It was a low, mournful hum, like wind whistling through a cracked window, but deeper, more resonant. Mark stopped, his head cocked to one side. "Did you hear that?" he whispered. I nodded, my heart starting to pound. It wasn't the wind. It was too steady, too deliberate. We looked at each other, a silent agreement passing between us. We had to investigate. The sound seemed to be coming from the largest building in the gulch, a 2-story structure that looked like it might have been the town hall or a church. Its dark, imposing silhouette against the fading light was particularly ominous. We approached the building cautiously, our flashlights cutting through the deepening gloom. The hum grew louder, a low thrum that vibrated in my chest. It wasn't a mechanical sound, nor was it natural. It felt organic, yet alien. The front door, half rotted off its hinges, hung ajar, revealing a black maw within. Taking a deep breath, Mark pushed it open further, and we stepped inside. The air was colder here, and the smell of decay was stronger, mixed with something else, something acrid and metallic. Our flashlight beams danced across the interior, revealing a large, empty hall. Dust motes swirled in the light, like tiny, disturbed spirits. The hum was deafening now, coming from somewhere deeper within the building. We followed the sound, our footsteps echoing unnervingly in the silence. It led us to a narrow staircase, winding down into what looked like a basement. The hum was almost unbearable now, a physical pressure against my eardrums. Mark looked at me, his face pale in the flashlight beam, but his eyes held that familiar spark of morbid curiosity. I, on the other hand, was terrified. Every instinct screamed at me to turn back, to run, but some perverse fascination, kept me moving forward. We descended into the darkness, the air growing heavier, colder, and the strange, unsettling hum filling every corner of the space. At the bottom of the stairs, the hum intensified, and we saw it. In the center of the dirt floor, bathed in the eerie glow of our flashlights, was a large, pulsating mass. It was dark, almost black, with veins of sickly green light running through it. It seemed to be breathing, expanding and contracting with a slow, rhythmic pulse. The hum emanated from it, a deep, guttural vibration that seemed to shake the very foundations of the earth. It wasn't a creature, not in any sense I understood. It was something else entirely, something ancient and terrifying, a living, breathing horror that had somehow taken root in this forgotten corner of the desert. We stood there, frozen, unable to move, unable to speak, our minds struggling to comprehend the impossible sight before us. The air grew thick with an unbearable stench, a mix of ozone and something indescribably foul. And then from within the pulsating mass, a single, glowing red eye opened, fixing its gaze directly on us. That red eye, it wasn't just looking at us, it felt like it was looking into us, peeling back layers of our sanity. A wave of pure, unadulterated terror washed over me, a primal fear that bypassed all rational thought. Mark, usually so composed, let out a choked gasp, dropping his flashlight. It clattered to the dirt floor, its beam spinning wildly, casting grotesque shadows that danced with the pulsating mass. The hum intensified, becoming a high-pitched whine that clawed at my eardrums, threatening to shatter them. I could feel my heart hammering against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the encroaching dread. My legs felt like lead, rooted to the spot, but some instinct, some desperate urge for survival, finally kicked in. I don't remember screaming, but I must have. I grabbed Mark's arm, my fingers digging into his flesh, and pulled. He stumbled, still staring, mesmerized by the horror before us. I dragged him backward, scrambling up the stairs, not daring to look back. The whine followed us, a physical presence pressing against our backs, urging us faster. We burst out of the building, gasping for air, the cool desert night a welcome relief after the suffocating terror of the basement. We didn't stop to look at each other, didn't exchange a single word. We just ran blindly towards the truck, the image of that pulsating mass and its malevolent red eye burned into our minds. Getting into the truck felt like an eternity. My hands fumbled with the door handle, my breath coming in ragged gasps. Mark was already in the driver's seat, his face ashen, his eyes wide and unseeing. He jammed the key into the ignition, the engine sputtering to life with a roar that was almost as loud as the pounding in my ears. He threw it into reverse, tires spitting gravel, and we tore out of Whisperwind Gulch, leaving the silent, watchful horror behind us. We drove for hours, the desert night a blur of darkness and fear. Neither of us spoke. There was nothing to say. The experience had stripped us bare, leaving us with a raw, visceral understanding of true, inexplicable terror. We didn't stop until the first rays of dawn painted the sky, and the distant hum of civilization started to reach us. We were safe physically, but something had changed. Something had been irrevocably broken within us. We never talked about it again, not really. We tried once or twice, but the words felt hollow, inadequate to describe the sheer, mind-bending horror we had witnessed. Mark sold his truck a week later, said he couldn't stand the sight of it. I still get nightmares, vivid, terrifying dreams of that pulsating mass and its burning red eye. Sometimes when the wind howls just right, I swear I can hear that low, mournful hum, a faint echo of the unspeakable thing we encountered in Whisperwind Gulch. The desert, once a place of stark beauty, now holds a different kind of mystery for me, a chilling reminder that some things are better left undisturbed, buried deep beneath the sand and forgotten by time. And I definitely won't be going urban exploring in the desert again anytime soon.